Catherine Kelley. I'm an actor and director at City Theater. Taking aside the second Indian from the left in the kindergarten Thanksgiving pageant, my first real role was in Berlin, Germany at the Andrews Theater, and it was the role of Penny in You Can't Take It With You. Well, the second Indian from the left was actually placed downstage with my back to the audience. And even at the age of 5, I was aware that this was not where I wanted to be. And I broke the fourth wall, turned around, and waved to my parents. So when I played Penny, that became much more engaging. The first moment that you step out on stage, there's still a little bit of terror, a little bit of shakes, but then all the layers of acting come into play. You're listening to your other actors, you're trying to remember your cues, remember the lines, where you're supposed to move. Is the audience quiet? Are they paying attention? And that is engaging and exhilarating at the same time. And you also become very bonded with your fellow actors on the stage. So that's what I remember of that first time. It's almost a toss-up, but I'd have to say that directing is a lot more fun for me. But the two feed each other. If I've been acting, I tend to be a little bit more conscious of my actors when I'm directing. And if I'm directing, well, obviously I'm paying more attention to if I'm making them stand too long or do all of the things that you don't think of if you haven't experienced yourself. Acting, I've already said that wonderful feeling of having all of these layers going on at the same time and you're in control. Directing, it's almost like you're playing in your head all of the roles. If I were Hamlet here, what would I do? And if the actor has something to add, that's even better. And I also like the challenge of fixing things. If something's not working, finding 3 other options that will work. So they're both a lot of fun, but I think the directing is what I really like to do. We moved here in 1993, and I think by 1994 I had seen the first production, possibly something that they used to do short plays at O'Freil's Tavern in Wilmington. But the first full-length play I saw was Goodnight Desdemona, and it was really well done. It was at the Black Box, and I thought, okay, I'm going to see what these guys are up to. And I auditioned for the next play. And it was Nikki Silver's Fat Men in Skirts. So that was my beginning, and since then I've probably done maybe a dozen and some short plays that we did for a while and directed some. Well, I am and always have been a big Shakespeare fan, and he's got a couple of things to say about that, especially actors. He says that you must treat actors well because they are the abstract and brief chronicles of the time, which to me means that they take what is going on around them, and that includes playwrights, it also includes the visual arts, and condense it so that you take away from that not just the feeling, but the thought. So when people leave the theater, they have molecules have been moved, and they have either been emotionally affected, intellectually affected. That's the goal, and it works. It happens all the time. The other one that Shakespeare was giving advice to the actors, and he said, you hold as 'twere a mirror up to nature. And he didn't just mean trees and grass and animals, he meant human nature as well. And I think the arts, all of the arts do that, and that's why they're so important. They clarify things for us. Well, being a kind of Shakespearean nerd, one of my major inspirations inspirations is John Barton, who's died a few years ago, who was with the Royal Shakespeare Company as a writer and a teacher and director. He had a series on the BBC called Playing Shakespeare, and it was so full of intelligence and compassion and understanding. He worked with Judi Dench and a whole raft of British actors that we all know now, Patrick Stewart, and that was inspiring. That was inspiring. I still have a copy of it. I'll look back at it once in a while to get advice. Well, obviously my family is always an inspiration, but the major inspiration for what I do is a company of actors. It's like home. I've lived in a bunch of places. I've worked in theaters in a bunch of different places, and you can count on walking in and seeing the other actors, knowing it's a safe space, knowing they've got your back mostly, and I'd say that's very inspiring. I always feel like I'm not going to give advice, but I think be brave is the best thing, is try it out, be brave. Don't be afraid to fail, which is such a cliche, but it's true. And that's what rehearsal is for actors, for musicians, for singers. You have to try it, and you have to be not afraid. That would be my advice.